expose, 5 minutes to freedom, video 14, I believe. And in this video, we're going to discuss how this 2021 gun grab nonsense is just a hoax. Now, I want to let a lot of you guys know that many of you are part of groups and different people who want to stand up for the people of America. I'm just going to tell you to be very, very, very careful, because I'm seeing people out there talking about let them come get me. I got something for them if they come and all this crazy stuff. And they have not taken the time, guys, to slow down and look at what in the world the law says. I say this over and over and over again. We have too many people who are reactive, too many people whose buttons can be pushed by mainstream media, attorneys, and government officials lying to you. So, is this case that they're talking about even about your right to have guns? No, it's not about that. It's about something totally different. As always, I never want you to take my word for it. I'm going to show you in their own documents what this is really about. As you can see here, Young versus State of Hawaii. The in-bank court affirmed that the district court's dismissal of an action challenging Hawaii's firearm licensing law. This is not about your right to carry a gun. It's about the freaking firearm license and the law connected to it. Hawaii Revised Statute 134-9A, which requires that residents, that's an important word, seeking a license to openly carry a firearm in public. Not somebody who is doing this by right, but a resident. You better understand the word resident, as David Straight so gracefully showed us. Resident is like someone who works in a hospital that's a liability that comes from another place for a certain amount of time. You are not one of the people of the state exercising the rights of the people in the state. You are someone who comes from somewhere else, who is doing business in another location for a certain amount of time. And that would make sense why you would need a license to carry out a right that you already have. Now, some people may say, David, what do you mean a right they already have? This case is about gun rights. No, it's not. Let's look and see. Resident, Black's Law 5, any person who occupies a dwelling within the state has a present intent to remain within the state for a period of time and manifest the genuineness of the intent by establishing an ongoing physical presence within the state, together with indicia that his presence within the state is something other than merely transitory in nature. Real quick, guys, notice that he's not transitory in nature, or his condition in the state is not him just passing through, but he's there for some other purpose. So it did not say he's one of the people with allegiance to that state, like the people of Hawaii who have all rights. He's there for a reason, like business or commerce, which the federal government can then legislate over his power to do things, because he's a DC citizen and not one of the people of the state. Because if you're one of the people of the state of Hawaii, let's see what right you have. Article 17, Hawaii Bill of Rights. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Guys, if their constitution says the people of the state have a right that cannot be infringed by the government and they can bear it, why in the world are people trying to tell us that this man needed to use what he used, a license, in order to keep or bear an arm, and then act like this case was about that? This case is not about the people's right in any state. It's only about regulation of licensing by those who wish to get a license when the freaking state constitution says you don't even need it. Now, guys, if some of you remember, I told you that the attorneys, the judges, and the different government officials who want to deceive the people are going to use this as a case, but never tell you what this guy went into the court and argued. Now, his own state constitution says that his own state employees that work for him will not infringe his right to keep or bear arms as one of the people. But notice that his status is not one of the people if he gets a government license and he is a resident. A resident does not mean someone who is a national or one of the people of the state. It means that you are coming from somewhere else with the intent on being there with some other purpose and you're staying for a while, right? So you are a liability because you are a DC person. You are a DC citizen and you are in a state doing commerce, so you're acting in interstate commerce so they can regulate everything. Now, you don't have to believe me that these attorneys, whoever he's using, or if it's himself, he did bad, but he is deceived into believing that he has to use the United States Constitution to give him a right to do something or protect his right to do something when it really traps him in a bad situation. Let's look. So deeper into the case, the in-bank court noted that this court has previously held that individuals do not have a Second Amendment right to carry concealed weapons in public. Now, this is from the Second Amendment, but we just saw the Hawaii State Constitution allows for people to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with that when it comes to a license. Let's look deeper. It says, after careful review of the history of early English and American regulation of carrying arms openly in public square, the in-bank court concluded that Hawaii's restriction on the open carrying of a firearm reflect long-standing prohibitions, and therefore the conduct they regulate, remember they're regulating because of the license, is outside of the historical scope of the Second Amendment. The in-bank court held that the Second Amendment does not guarantee an unfettered general right to openly carry firearms in public for individual self-defense. Guys, that's for a reason. Because the United States Constitution doesn't give you all of your rights. It was not here to be broad and wide in its scope. That is what your state constitution is here for. The people created the state constitutions and then developed the state constitutions in a way that it would show many of the protections that the people have. And then the people of the states came together and created what's called the federal constitution. It was limited in scope and only for certain purposes to protect the people, protect their interests if it came to fighting or tyranny, domestic or foreign. It was to protect from jealousies of other states, but it was not put here to protect your general right to have a weapon on yourself for self-preservation. That was outlined in the state constitution. And it's funny that I can show you in the Hawaii state constitution that the people have a right to keep and bear arms without it being infringed by the government. So you got to watch what these people are doing closely, because the Second Amendment in the federal constitution is given a purpose, but it's not for your general ability to carry a weapon, especially in the states in the public square. That's not what it was created for. But you did tell your forefathers did tell the government officials in your state constitutions that if they want a job here, they will make sure that they never interfere with your ability to have a weapon and to bear that weapon. Let me show you from another case. The only principles of law then that can be regarded are those common to all the states. See, there's certain rights of people that exist across America. I know none of these which can affect this case, but those that are derived from what is properly termed the common law. A law which I presume is the groundwork of the laws in every state in the Union. Guys, I want you to understand that under the common law, we all have a right to defend ourselves. We all have a right to a jury of our peers. We all have a right, if we're having a court case, that somebody has to come with an affidavit saying that we have done something wrong. Guys, we all have a freedom to protect ourselves in a republic. And they're trying to trick us with court cases to get us off of the foundations of this nation. This case, guys, is Chisholm versus Georgia, the first super important Supreme Court case. Now, we got to notice that this case is not taught in law schools. And it's funny that it talks about the common law, which is in the Bill of Rights, which is for all the people of all the Republican states of America. But they don't want us to know that it exists. I wonder why. Now I'm going to show you guys how I like to play. Let's look deeper into this case from the dissenting opinion. Judge O'Scanlan, joined by Judges Callahan, Akuta, and Nelson, would hold that both HRS 134-9 and the 1997 county regulation destroyed the core right to carry a gun for self-defense outside the home and are unconstitutional under any level of scrutiny. Now let's look. Judge O'Scanlan stated that the majority holds that while the Second Amendment may guaranteed the right to keep a firearm for self-defense within one's home, it provides no right whatsoever to bear, i.e., to carry the same firearm for self-defense in any other place. Guys, what did I show you in this state constitution? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, in other words, guys, we got some clown federal judges that will sit in your freaking face. Understand that the state law, the common law that is common to all men across the nation, guarantees us the right to be able to protect ourselves. And that does not just mean at your freaking house. But in order to pass some silly stuff, or not pass, make it seem like some silly stuff passed because courts can't pass a dang thing. They can only answer what you bring to them. And this man comes with this silly argument about the 14th Amendment and the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, totally bypassing his right in the state constitution to keep and bear arms. They will not tell this man that his state constitution says that this is totally fine for you to do, that you don't need a license from the freaking government, and you're not a freaking resident, you're one of the people of the state. They won't tell him this stuff, so he comes and argues this dumb argument, and then everybody believes in the nation that people can take guns from you. Foolishness. So in conclusion, guys, this case is not a case about being able to take guns from people. This case is not a case about gun rights. This case is a case where government officials are using trickery, calling someone a DC citizen and seeing if their DC rights apply in Hawaii. And if the words in the DC law doesn't say what a man would want them to in Hawaii, the court will hide the fact because he does not know what the real truth is and let somebody trample his rights. Anybody who was real would say, hey, what's inside of your constitution applies for the people, and you don't need my permission to have a license to carry a gun. So this whole argument in the first place has some issues. The next thing is we're dealing with statutory permission to do something as a person, right? You're getting a license from the government. They're declaring you a type of person that they can regulate. The very fact that you're asking them to regulate you shows that they can presume that you are in a status that they can control. So the Second Amendment and the controlling of where you carry guns with a license are like apples and oranges. The freedom you have to have a weapon under the common law, the law of the land, the basic framework of the Constitution that tell government officials the laws that they cannot touch. That's what the common law is, the Bills of Rights and the Declaration of Rights that they cannot touch. If you guys want me to break this down even deeper, blow your mind with it, and give you such education that you can turn any attorney or judge upside down with simple and clear facts of we the people, let me know and I'll do a part 2 because this one has went long. So let me know. Thank you guys. You be blessed. You trust God. You read those court cases. You learn the words and you see where they're being deceitful. Do not let people take away the God-given rights that you have been given. Stand on your God-given rights. Your forefathers died for this stuff. You better stand.